Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode review. This time we will be going over episode 44 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, the duel between Roa Kirishima and Mimi/Mr. Goha. What did I think of this episode? Well, I gotta be honest, I absolutely loved this episode. One of, again, I know I've been saying this a lot recently, but one of the best 7's episodes probably in the entire series, and it's pretty interesting to me that this arc has just continued to amaze and produce really, really high-quality episodes. There was so many different things that happened in this episode that I think were great for the characters that obviously appeared in the episode, and I also think are great for future setups and to continue to get viewers talking and interested in what happens next. There's a few different things that I'm going to kind of be bouncing around. I want to talk about Mimi and the whole situation with her and the drone. I want to talk about Roa and the situation with him and the bandmates. And of course, I have to talk about the super team that was formed at the end of this episode, where Yuga, Neil, and Roa are going to be a team competing in this tournament. Absolutely disgusting. We also got some news about the Machine Cavalry Club being in a little bit of danger. Obviously, they're dealing with the threat that is produced by the Silhouette Man. We know Otis escaped from prison. I mean, there was just so much that happened in the episode, but I want to start with Mimi and the Goha drone, which I almost have to kind of take back what I said at the beginning of last week, where I said after the Silhouette Man was introduced that the Goha drone just doesn't seem threatening at all. I mean, he hasn't done anything to prove that he's any sort of threat. Well, this episode completely changed that. And I know there's a lot of people, and I'm actually surprised to see the amount of negativity towards what happened to Mimi, because I get it. It's brainwashing, it's mind control. We've seen it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Over and over and over. But this, to me, is the trope done perfectly well. This is not the same as ALOT getting brainwashed by the Knights of Hanoi, a group that she had no association with. This is not the same as the Bracelet Girls getting brainwashed by the Doctor at Academia, a group that they had no association with. Usually when brainwashing happens in Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's because an antagonist invades that girl character and basically overpowers her to the point of mind control. This was completely different than your typical Yu-Gi-Oh! Girl gets brainwashed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Mimi signed a pact with the head of Goha. I think a lot of people overlook that aspect of it. Mimi walked into the Goha office, saw the host before her drop dead due to the Goha drone's influence on him, and still, in a way, sold out to accomplish her dreams of getting as much power as possible and rising up the corporate ladder as fast as possible. She signed an alliance with the head of Goha, who literally killed the previous host in front of her. So this, to me, is completely different. It's almost like you know what the risk is when you sign up for this job. If you see a raccoon in the middle of the day, which is uncommon, and it's approaching you, and you stick your hand out to pet it and it bites you, there's a good chance that it has rabies. Now, you know the risk that is associated with petting a raccoon that is hanging out and behaving very odd in the middle of the daytime. Mimi had to have known the risks, and I'm sure she calculated the risks when she took on this role. And so to me, this is kind of, I don't want to say what she deserved, but she knew what she was signing up for. Maybe not to this extremity, but you have to use a little bit of common sense in this scenario. So to me, I have absolutely zero issue with this at all. In fact, this to me is brainwashing done correctly and properly, and it makes the threat of the Goha drone actually legitimate. Because before this episode, myself and a lot of people that have been watching Sevens were starting to lose interest in the Goha drone. We were starting to not really believe that this drone was that threatening. He hadn't really done anything. He was letting Mimi make all the calls and boss him around. And even in the first half of this episode, Mimi was really disobeying everything that he was saying. She wanted to make a speech when he didn't. She wanted to duel Roa when he didn't. And so eventually, as the leader of Goha, he had to put his foot down. He takes over Mimi. And would Mimi have won if the brainwashing didn't happen? She did have Roa locked out of tribute summoning. And then, of course, when the Gohad drone takes over, he destroys the monsters that were frozen from tribute summoning. I don't know. I still think Roa probably would have pulled it off, but the Gohad drone certainly did not help the cause in terms of Mimi winning the duel. But man, oh man, even at one point he says, we need to find a faster way to choke the life out of Roa, which I love the line there because he probably chokes the life, literally, out of the host that he is controlling. We even see the effect that it has on Mimi at the end of this episode when she looks very, very confused and very, very woozy. And I can't imagine that it's healthy for her to go through something like that over and over and over. And eventually, if she's not careful, she's going to end up the same way the host before her did, where the Gohad drone literally said he has no life left in him, and the life has been, for lack of a better term, choked out of him. So I loved when he said that about Roa, because it's kind of what he does to the host of his mask. So I had absolutely zero issue with it. I think it was brainwashing done very, very well. I think it's an overused trope, especially in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I had zero issue with it being used and executed the way that it was in this episode. Now to switch things to Roa. Roa makes his big comeback with Geta and Ushido, and we get a nice flashback scene of him talking about how Geta and Ushido represent his two aces, which was kind of hilarious and kind of sad when he sacrificed those two aces to summon his new monster, Royal Demon's Death Doom, which we knew was coming in this episode, and we knew it needed at least 2 level 7 tribute monsters, so we knew he was probably going to have to sacrifice those 2 monsters. So when he made that connection in the beginning of this episode, I was like, all right, well, I know where this is going. And Ushido and Geta, especially Geta's obviously the more outspoken of the two, immediately feel like it's the same old Roa, where Roa says these things, he kind of smooth talks them back into the friend group with his words, because he's a smooth talker, that's what he is, and then they feel betrayed when Roa goes on his own tangents because he's not really able, well, I don't know if he's not able to, or he just doesn't think it's that important to communicate with Geta and Ushido and talk about his true motives. His true motives in this duel, to duel Mimi and to enter the tournament, was to get to Otis. And he didn't tell Geta and Ushido that, so when Geta and Ushido hear it for the first time, as well as everyone in the stadium, I think they have a right to, I think their feelings are very validated. They feel like excluded. They feel like they're being used almost. I mean, Geta says he just needed bodies to fill the team, and I think they completely are validated in feeling that way. I will say, I don't think that Roa is doing this maliciously. I don't think he doesn't value them as friends. I think that Roa genuinely is emotionally dumb. I mean, it's just, I'm just going to say it. There are some people who are very emotionally intelligent, and there are some people who are not emotionally intelligent. And Roa has absolutely no emotional intelligence at all. And the lack of communication with his band members, two people that I think he does consider his 2 best friends. I mean, he could have just replaced Geta with the drumming machine, but he chose not to. He did look very sad when Roman had a conversation with him at the end of the episode, and my God, was that an amazing scene. Maybe my favorite scene from the episode, to be completely honest, when Roman says to Roa, you know, they might not come back this time, and Roa just tries to act tough, even though it clearly, that thought bothers him, and he says, ah, well, you know, if they don't, they don't, and it's not a big deal, and Roman just walks past him and says, stop lying to yourself, and you can see how it affects Roa, and that is evident right there, that Roa does care about Geta and Ushido. He's just not emotionally intelligent, and he is a little selfish, and he's a little self-centered, and hopefully those are traits that will start to improve as the show goes on. I think there's a lot of character growth and development that we could see with Roa, which makes me very, very excited to see where he goes from here. Obviously, Ushido and Geta are out of the show for a little bit. They're out of the tournament, and a great shot where Roman is just holding the drumsticks that Geta threw on the ground. I gotta be honest, if we get Team Yuga versus Team Rook, which I think is going to happen, I think there's a decent shot that Roman carrying the feelings of her band members, because remember, she knows Geta and Ushido just as well as Roa does. She's part of that band, carrying their feelings. She might defeat Roa. If you believe that Yuga and Rook is going to happen when the two teams meet up, assuming they do meet up. That means that either Roman beats Roa, and if you don't think that that's going to happen, then you have to start justifying Gakuto is going to beat Neil. And the Ronze situation makes that so much more interesting because now it seems like Gakuto and Neil have a reason to duel and are on a crash course with each other when Team Yuga and Team Rook come face to face. So either Roman beats Roa or Gakuto beats Neil. Start figuring one of those out. And so low-key, the formation of this super team is maybe the best thing that could have happened for Gakuto and or Roman, because one of them is going to get, I would imagine, a monstrous win in this upcoming tournament when these two teams, who again seem to be on a crash course with each other, come face to face. So that is going to be super, super exciting. Obviously, we have to talk a little bit about the super team. Neil's account gets unsuspended so that he is able to duel in this upcoming tournament, and he just goes, that's not really his providence, but that's the way it is. And Yuga, Roa, and Neil have formed one of the craziest teams we have ever seen in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Even the final line in this episode is great, where Rook just goes, "This is too stacked." That's how we are all feeling. I'm going to make a little bit of an NBA basketball reference here. Not sure how many sports fans there are, but the Golden State Warriors were a very good team in like 2015, 2016. They went 73-9, which is an insane record. And in the offseason of that year, they signed Kevin Durant, arguably the best player in the NBA, alongside LeBron James. And so a team that just went 73-9 got one of the best players in the NBA, and they would go on to win 2 or 3 of the next 4 or 5 NBA championships. I mean, they became an absolute powerhouse and an absolute dynasty in the league. That's what this feels like. That's what it felt like when Yuga and Roa were on a team and Neil joined. Like, you already have 2 of the most respected and skilled duelists in the entire Sevens universe, and then you add Neil. I mean, give me a break, man. That is insane. And I do believe that Rook has a chance, Team Rook has a chance at beating this super team, but it's going to be very hard. Obviously, they have become very quickly the odds-on favorite to win this entire tournament. I mean, my lord. And the only reason that Yuga is able to join this team is because Galliant and Schwer have to leave to go assist Asana and Caterpillar. And I gotta be honest, something that is not being talked about enough, I would be very worried about the Machine Cavalry Club, because with the way that they introduced the Silhouette Man at the end of last week's episode, I am very concerned that the Silhouette Man is going to make a complete example out of the Machine Cavalry Club and just wipe them all out. Not, literally, but defeat them and succeed in whatever he's doing, because very seldom in Yu-Gi-Oh! Does the main villain get stopped by someone else other than the main protagonist, especially before coming face to face with the main protagonist. And so for that to happen, if they're calling in backup in the form of Galliant and Schwer, it means Asana and Caterpillar are fully planning to intervene with whatever is going on in the caves, and I can't see the Machine Cavalry Club stopping the Silhouette Man and his army of malicious robots. So I would be very worried about the Machine Cavalry Club. I just have a bad feeling that they're going to be in a grave amount of danger coming up. I mean, they're very skilled. They're good duelists. Obviously, they're going to do their best to protect Asana, but I just have a feeling that the Silhouette Man is going to make an example out of the Machine Cavalry Club, and obviously the 2 of them leaving allows Yuga to form this super team. But with the Goha drone and now the Silhouette Man lurking, the threats in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 seem more serious and more legit than ever before. We have the tournament coming up next week, which is super, super exciting, and we have this super team that you would imagine is going to run roughshod through the entire tournament. I've been saying it for a few weeks. This is the best time to be a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. But guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. It was also cool to see Diane Keto, the prison master. Not going to talk too much about the duel. The duel was fun, but you know, I like to talk more about the plot and storylines and my own interpretations on the things going around in that regard when it comes to these episodes. So in honor of not allowing this review to become more than, 15 minutes or so, or approach the 20-minute mark, I am going to wrap up things there. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to my thoughts on episode 44. We run a weekly podcast that is live streamed on YouTube every Wednesday night at 8:39 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have a lot to say about this episode, so make sure you tune in to Talking Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's Up. Thank you all so much for watching. And a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Panther J, Blue Maiden 28, Jarrett Buller, XLayer64, Brandon Gomez, and TenjoKogamiZaizen, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, and Anime Kaput, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, XZ's Lover 104. Thank you so much to everyone who supports me on Patreon, and to everyone who is a YouTube channel member. You guys help me out tremendously. I stream on Twitch, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. All the links to those will be down below. Thank you again so much for watching. I will talk to you in the comments section, and I hope you have an amazing day.